And his criticism of Donald Trump will draw the headlines. But I do think if you look at the sweep of John McCain's life from the Naval Academy to being a prisoner of war, to the House, to the Senate, to running for president, to being the nominee, now to this, it's a remarkable journey.
Let me read another excerpt. This is where he actually talks about his cancer diagnosis and how he views his obligation to voters. So this is what he writes. This is my last term. If I hadn't admitted that to myself before this summer, a stage 4 cancer diagnosis acts as ungentle persuasion. I'm freer than colleagues who will face the voters again. I can speak my mind without fearing the consequences much, and I can vote my conscience without worry. I don't think I'm free to disregard my constituents' wishes, far from it. I don't feel excused from keeping pledges I made, nor do I wish to harm my party's prospects. But I do feel a pressing responsibility to give Americans my best judgment. Before I leave, I'd like to see our politics begin to return to the purposes and practices that distinguish our history from the history of other nations.
Well, and Brooke, let me just add, on a not encouraging note, 48 hours ago, Donald Trump was in Michigan, made reference, although not by name, to John McCain, as he often does in his speech, his sort of campaign speech, talking about how one senator went, voted down on health care and how disappointing that was. Trump, in a lot of ways, is the antithesis of what McCain both ran as and has sort of constructed his political life around, this idea that compromise is a necessity. It's the only way government works. Donald Trump ran on and has governed on the idea that this way is the right way. What about meism? What does this mean for me and my constituents? It's a very, very interesting bookends, both in the last 48 hours, but the rise of Donald Trump and John McCain sort of saying goodbye on a public stage, that dovetailing, they represent such radically different visions of what American government can and should be.
It also struck me, yes, but it also struck me on President Trump. What Trump said in that newser earlier today at the White House, where he talked about immigration and called it pathetic, and the world is laughing at us, says he will not apologize for his rhetoric. And while it's maybe not surprising, I thought it was noteworthy.
Yeah, I mean, look, I stopped a long time ago waiting for a Donald Trump 2.0, Brooke. I think the Donald Trump we have is the Donald Trump he's been for 71 years of his life. It's the Donald Trump he's going to continue to be. He will not change. He believes this in his heart of hearts, that he needs to say and do things that are politically incorrect, that break the status quo, because that's what he thinks has won him this office. He's not going to stop. We should stop being surprised, but we shouldn't stop covering it, because as you read in that first excerpt about Donald Trump from John McCain, this is not normal presidential behavior. It is not even close to normal presidential behavior. We have to cover it and say, past presidents have not said and acted in these ways. And you can judge, is that a good, bad, or indifferent thing, but it is without question a fact.
Yeah. Chris Liza, thank you for that reminder.
Thanks,
and
Brooke.
Good to see you. And just a reminder, back